Welcome back to our channel, dear Peachy. In an age of influencers, Instagram, and celebrity trendsetters, the concept of embracing individuality is becoming increasingly relevant. Instead of replicating style from someone else blindly, finding a style that represents who you are is a powerful communication tool. It can give you an identity, and on top of that, it sets you apart from the crowd. But how do you find your style? Well, by understanding your facial features. It can help define your style and give you a place to begin. It's also a way to uncover and come to grips with who you are, in order to determine what is flattering you the most. In our video today, we will discuss how we can build our style depending on our facial features. If you are still discovering which style expresses yourself the most, this video might be helpful for you. As usual, this video will be divided into several parts. Please refer to the timestamps for the following parts. Due to the wide difference in human facial features, we have divided them into a few simple categories to better elucidate their differences. From here, you can identify which category that your features fall into. Once you have a general understanding of your features' visual style, it will be easier for us to dive deeper into finding the style, which enhances the beauty of your features the most. As we all know, our faces are inarguably the first thing people notice. Aside from perceived attractiveness, facial features can actually signal a person's gender to the outside world. According to the Japanese beauty magazines, our facial features carry different gender aesthetics, and they can either be masculine or feminine. Let's talk about what it really means by masculine or feminine visuals. First of all, masculine visual here does not mean that it makes someone look manly, and we will talk about what characteristics can increase the masculinity of one's features shortly. Facial features with masculine aesthetic tend to have the following characteristics. First, they tend to have more angular or prominent bone features. The prominence of the bones can be observed at the cheekbones, the jaw, or even the nose bridge. Second, their eyes are likely to be positioned much higher when it is compared in the facial proportion ratio, and they also have a longer mid-face ratio. On the other hand, they can also tend to have a longer lower face ratio, or in other words, they can have a longer chin too. Besides, the corners of the eyes, mouth or nose have sharp edges, instead of rounded corners, and at least 2 out of these 3 features have sharp edges. Lastly, the distance between their eyes is much closer. If you find yourself checking at least 3 items out of this list, then your facial features might be geared towards the masculine aesthetic. We know some of you guys will be disappointed when you find yourself having the masculine features, but we would like to emphasize that having masculine features doesn't mean that you look like a man. In fact, masculine features can easily create a distinctive style that breaks free from the uniformity. For instance, Dilraba Dilmarat. She is one of the beauties who has masculine features. From her features, we can see that she fulfills a few criteria on the checklist we have discussed just now. She has prominent facial bones and longer mid-face ratio. The corners of her eyes and mouth are sharper. On the contrary, feminine features have the following characteristics. They have less prominent bone structure and appear to be more fleshy. The facial structure looks softer and has a rounder contour. The ratio of the chin is shorter compared to the facial proportion ratio. The length of the mid-face ratio is also shorter too. At least 2 out of these 3 features, such as eyes, mouth, or nose, have rounded edges. If you hit at least 3 of the characteristics listed above, then it is very likely that you have feminine features. Do you know, our visual styles can actually shift from feminine to masculine aesthetics, or vice versa? Crystal Liu, a Chinese actress who has feminine features initially, her visuals has transitioned to be more masculine recently. As time goes, the proportion of our facial features will change too. As we can see here, the length of her chin becomes longer, and the position of her eyes goes higher. The baby fat on her face has faded over time, and her cheeks appear to be less fleshy. Hence her bone structure looks a little more prominent now. It is not always the procedures that cause the change in the ratio or position of our facial features. Our faces are slowly changing without us noticing as we age. This explains why Crystal Liu's facial features changed from feminine to more masculine as time goes. The cool, exquisite, and classy charisma is brought out through the change of her features. Having masculine features do not make one look manly, but it actually gives a more defined styling direction or possibility. If we compare the visuals of Juyi and Liu Wen here, Juyi has feminine visuals. Juyi's eye level is positioned lower in her facial ratio. She has a softer face and rounder contour. In contrast, Liu Wen's visuals are more masculine. Her eye level is positioned higher. She has a longer mid-face ratio, and the corners of her features are sharper. Once we have gone through the classification of feminine and masculine features, we can further divide both visuals into 4 categories based on the visual weight of the features. If you have subscribed to Dear Peachy long enough, you must be very familiar with the term visual weight. If you are not, let us recap a little here. The visual weight of your features that we refer here doesn't mean the actual weight of your face, but it's the structure of the face itself, like how heavy the bones look, or how light and delicate the bones appear. The more prominent the facial features look, the higher the visual presence, and hence the visual weight is higher. Here, we have put up a scale for higher to lower visual weight features. On your left we have the heavy visual weight features, and on the other side we have the lower visual weight features. We have arranged the examples in a descending manner. The visual weight decreases from the left to right, where it shows the change in terms of how prominent and sharp the features look, and the visual presence of the overall impression. Just like the name suggests, high visual weight faces exude charisma that can easily attract attention. The low visual weight faces exude a lighter, calmer, and refreshing aura. Here are the celebrity examples for each of the categories, such as the high and low visual weight feminine features, and the high and low visual weight masculine features. However, these celebrity examples for each of the categories are not rigid. Their features or facial proportions might change over time, and this can eventually affect their styles too. Hence, the examples here are just for reference, and it doesn't mean that their visuals or styles will remain as such forever. So Wanyang and Ayu have low visual weight feminine features. Lisa and Jingtian have high visual weight feminine features. Yeji and Crystal have low visual weight masculine features. Azal Maju and Elaine Zhang have high visual weight masculine features. Feminine visuals are usually selected as the main girl in Asian drama series, while the masculine visuals are frequently picked as the supporting character due to their unique charisma and individuality of their looks. They can give a stronger impression on their audiences. If you have low visual weight masculine features like Crystal Zhang, her style might work great on you. Crystal has prominent cheekbones and jaw, with a longer chin and mid-face ratio, hence her visuals are inclined to the masculine aesthetics. Building her wardrobe with neutral or basic colors reflects the effortless and relaxed vibes. This brings out the lightness and refreshing quality of her beauty. Try to stay away from putting on too many accessories, because this will overpower your beauty. Outfits with solid colors or minimalism style flatter your visuals the most. As we only provide one example for each of these visual categories, you can always look up for more examples and inspirations that belong to your visual category, and adapt their styles to yourself accordingly. According to the China Styling Guru, there are 2 methods that can help us in developing our own style based on our visuals. The first is called the maximize method, and the second is the counterbalance method. Both methods can be applied for different types of visuals, and we will come back to it in the later parts of this video. In order to determine which style suits us best, we must first understand our own facial features. Nonetheless, there is still one thing that is commonly missed out by most people. Before we retouch or enhance our faces with any makeup or procedures, our visuals, in fact, have determined our basic styling aesthetic. This basic styling aesthetic can be distinctive to every individual. Some appear to be cute and adorable, whereas some might look more sexy and mature. And this primary style of yours is strongly influenced by any 1 or 2 of your facial features, which can be called your key features. These key features can be your eyes, nose, mouth, or face shape, and any one of them can have an impact on the overall aesthetic that your visual exudes. Making changes to these features can actually cause a 180-degree turn to your initial style. For example, one of the hottest beauty influencers in China, ECA, admitted that she has gone through procedures for her eyelids. The change of her eyelids has shifted her visuals from masculine to feminine features. Thus, in the case of Ye, her eyes are the key feature that determines the aesthetic of her entire visual. On the other hand, Mingxi now has softer and less prominent facial bones compared to her earlier modeling days. This change caused her style to transition from the sleek supermodel into the adorable girl next door look. Enhancing that key feature of their face has certainly changed the impression of their visuals, as enhancement of these features cause a shift in the visual aesthetic between masculine and feminine features. This can normally bring a great transformation in personal style. This explains why some celebrities can look totally different after debuting. The answer is that they have all the professionals like makeup artists or styling gurus, who help them understand their features before deciding on the style which best suits them. Let's get back to the example you saw. Ye. She has masculine features for her primary visual style. It can be seen from her sharp inner corners, longer mid-face ratio, and longer chin. The double lid surgery has changed her eye shape to appear rounder. Besides that, adding egg yolk cell contours help reduce the length of her mid-face ratio too. By only enhancing her eyes, her visual aesthetic is revamped from masculine to the low visual weight feminine features. This change produces a massive impact to her overall visual. We have talked about the transition of masculine to female visual style. How about changing from female to masculine features? Sohn Chae-young is one of the examples. You probably recognize her from her bold pixie cut and her effortless vibes. Chae-young's features exudes the feminine aesthetic. The corners of her eyes and lips are rounded. She has a soft and round face shape. To shift her visual style from feminine to masculine aesthetic, we can see that her makeup artist fills in eyeliner to make the corners of her eyes look sharper. Her egg yolk cell are not emphasized by contouring to create the visual impression of longer mid-face ratio. Lighter makeup is applied to let Chae-young's true beauty just shine through her own skin. However, there are times that Chae-young was styled to be more feminine. Besides the change in her hairstyle, her makeup artist had done something more to make her eyes appear rounder. The lower lid area and lash line are emphasized with eyeshadow to make her eyes look rounder. Egg yolk cell shadows are highlighted to shorten her mid-face ratio to make her overall visual look more feminine. To compare the difference between masculine and feminine visual style, let's look at these pictures here. On the left, her masculine visual style gives out the boyish cool, distanced and edgy charisma. On the right, it can be seen that her visual style is now changed to the adorable, friendly and girl next door vibes. Both styles looks great on her, therefore there is no good or bad styles. The best style is the style that makes you feel confident and comfortable the most. So the point here is, every one of us here has that one or two particular facial features which have already established our primary visual style initially. Whether you want to enhance or transform the key features which sets out your primary style, you still need to take the time to understand them before making any changes on them. So how do we find the key features that impact our visual the most? As we mentioned just now, these key features determine our primary visual style. Therefore, we can work in reverse order and begin by identifying our primary visual style. Once you have found your visual style category, you can then identify the specific features that can impact your overall visual. Take, for example, if you check yourself against the checklist and realize that your visual style belongs to the masculine aesthetic, then try to identify the specific features that relate the most to masculine style. For instance, if the prominence of your facial bones influences your visual style the most, you can refine this by applying contour or highlighter to soften out the edges of your cheekbones and jawline to give you a smoother contour. With this, it can change the overall impression of your visual style by switching from the masculine to the feminine aesthetic. Another example here is that, if the length of your mid-face ratio affects the overall visual style the most, you can add contour to the egg yolk cell shadow to weaken the visual focus of a long mid-face. For features with sharp or edged corners, apply makeup to make them look rounder or less edgy. You can apply eyeshadow or eyeliner to accentuate the shape of your eyes, or line your lips to make the lip shape appear rounder, or reduce the depth of nose contour shadows. On the other hand, the feminine visual style can also be accentuated differently by enhancing these specific features relating to the masculine aesthetics. You can work with the same theory here. Firstly, find out your features which relate your visual the most to the feminine aesthetics. Next, enhance it to transition your visual style from the feminine to the masculine aesthetic. By doing so, it can help you bring out your own unique and defined style. For features with rounded corners, apply makeup and shape them to look sharper, such as filling in eyeliner to lengthen the eye shape, or line your lips to make the corners look more defined. To lengthen the mid-face ratio, you can shape your brows with soft arches instead of drawing straight brows. Besides accentuating your features with makeup, changing hairstyle can also help in shifting your visual style to lean towards the masculine aesthetics. Although we are just refining one or two particular features here, it produces a great transformation on your overall visual impression. After identifying our primary visual style, it's time for us to develop our own unique style to create its individuality. Remember that in the earlier part of the video, we talked about the methods in developing our style based on our facial features. We mentioned the counterbalance method and the maximize method. The terms coined for these styling methods might sound alien to you now, but fret not, we will explain them further. According to the China styling guru, the term counterbalance refers to balancing the impression of primary visual style by adding other contrasting visual styles. The term maximizing here means enhancing your key features to further emphasize the impression of your primary visual style. The best example of celebrities developing their style using the counterbalance method is Lisa from Blackpink. So who else can apply this method to build their style? For anyone who has high visual weight masculine or feminine features, they can develop their style with the counterbalance method. Let's take a look at Lisa's face without makeup. She has a round face shape and high visual weight features with rounded corners. These facial features define her primary visual style as sweet and adorable. However, her beauty cannot be maximized if we are just enhancing her primary visual style. She looks lovely, but it doesn't bring her a definitive direction for her overall style. It will be different in the case of low visual weight rounded features with round face shape. The counterbalance method may not work best on them. This is because both Zhu Wei and Zhang Na do not have very high visual weight features, so they will not need to balance out the impression of their primary visual style. Instead, these visuals should develop their styles using the maximize method. By maximizing the sweet and adorable primary visual style, it adds the charming and dainty charisma to their air. Coming back to the previous example, Lisa. She has more prominent facial features which carry higher visual weight. If she maximizes her sweet and lovely primary visual style, it might overkill the balance of her overall impression, and not able to unleash her true potential. Thus, her stylists applied the counterbalance method. They have styled her by limiting her cuteness and bringing in a tinge of cool and sexiness to balance her overall style. This creates the human Barbie doll look that boasts her radiant beauty. The sweet or cute style is usually expressed by young-looking girls. The contrasting styles such as cool and sexy differ greatly from the cute impression, because sexiness is one of the characteristics of mature-looking females, and the cool impression is often related to styles which are less feminine or girly. Both of these characteristics are found on Lisa too. Her lower three white eyes add the cool and distance vibes which neutralize her cuteness. Her long slender limbs and amazing dancing skills bring out her sexiness and attractiveness. All these elements complement the cuteness in her primary visual style, and form a great harmony between both styles. Another aspect of Lisa's style to highlight is her hair color. Since Lisa has high visual weight and prominent features, dark hair color will increase visual weight of her overall impression. Darker hair colors increase the bluntness and heaviness of her features, thus making her facial features look less refined and delicate. On the other hand, lighter hair color carries lower visual weight. It appears to be lighter and airy. Thus the visual focus will be lifted upwards. It also helps a great deal in counteracting the heaviness from Lisa's facial features. So now we finally know why Lisa always looks extra eye-catching with blonde hair color. Lisa's sweet features are complemented by the cool and sexy styles, which do not overpower her sweetness. If you wish to apply this counterbalance method on yourself to develop your own style, always remember to keep the balance between both styles. Having too much of any one of them will affect your overall style. So how about the maximize method? The maximize method is about enhancing your facial features to emphasize the impression of primary visual style. This method is much simpler, just as the name suggests. You need to maximize the aura or the vibes exuded by your facial features. If your facial features radiate cool and distance vibes, you can further enhance it with the girl boss or boyish looks. Similar to the counterbalance method, balance is important in the maximize method too. Always remember not to go overboard, and make sure your style should match the overall impression of your facial features. For instance, IU has rounded features and face shape, which emanates the dainty and sweet aura. With the maximize method, this is further emphasized by the cute and elegant style. Kim Go-yoon, who has lower visual weight features with sharp corners, Her stylists develop a simple and refreshing style to match with her primary visual style. In conclusion, the maximized method best suits people with low or moderate visual weight feminine or masculine features. Jo Dong-yu is another excellent example of using the maximized method to enhance her beauty. Even though her subtle beauty is not as eye-catching as compared to the Asian beauty standard, her beauty is something that will grow in you. The more you look at her, the more you realize you can't take your eyes off her. Her features are delicate and not contrasting to each other. The styles developed for her complement well with her primary visual style. Her features exude the young-looking and adorable charisma. Her beauty might not catch your attention at your first glance, and this is because her features harmonize seamlessly with her style, which gives the impression of effortless and comfortable vibes to her overall look. Finding your personal style is a lifelong journey. It's not something you can figure out in one day. As we move through different life stages, our lifestyles shift, so do our tastes, aspirations, and preferences. So it is perfectly fine if you do not have one definitive personal style. Getting a good grasp of this concept of feminine and masculine aesthetics might be very helpful in our style journey. This not only allows us to redefine our personal styles more clearly, but also gives us an abundance of freedom and versatility in exploring endless styling possibilities. Ultimately, this is not a rule book. It's better to listen to that inner voice inside, and never forget to assess how you feel when you try a new style. Does it make you feel like the best version of you? Does it make you happy? If the answer is yes, that's the best style for you. What is the type of your visual style? Tell us which style suits you the best in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Goodbye!